you know, we get on these issues from a people standpoint, as long as it's tied into a holiday thing.
Okay, Jack,
From my perspective.
I want to be effective.
You're asking me, Steve.
When the quasi judicial, I'm sorry, I got a mouthful of Snickers.
Is Jim's recorder back on, or?
I don't know where, where's this?
It's right there, it should be.
Oh, still on.
Is it?
All on that.
Okay.
This is a quasi judicial hearing. Is there one that wants to be taken out separately so we can do them as
Yes.
a package?
Yeah.
And I think you have to ask ex parte, that's right.
You have
Yes, I have ex parte on B.
on B?
But I don't know if it falls in there. I've talked with a concerned citizen
Yes.
in reference to this property. And I drove past it because it's
What
on my
was the
property,
concern of the citizen?
not because I was.
What was the concern of the citizen?
The concern is that this is a new addition, and the existing addition is not connected to the house.
I got that same concern addressed to me also.
Okay. So you have
And
as
the
far as
septic
communication.
load. And the septic load.
So, any other ex parte communications on any of them? No, that's good.
Yeah, I've got one on 10D because I'm their representative.
Okay,
And D?
that's a unique one.
All right. Yeah, you're the guy.
And I also had a citizen contact me on that one also.
I did as
D.
well.
D.
D.
D and D.
Okay.
Good.
It's been D, yes.
Okay, so we have all ex parte communication disclosed. Does anybody want to pull a particular item for separate discussion alone?
10D.
D and D.
B and D?
Yes.
D and D?
So, Mayor, what you can do is ask for a motion to approve item A and C.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve for the quasi-judicial hearing, item A, C, A?
Make a motion that we approve the conditional hearing for certificate of preference for items 10A and C.
A second. Jody.
I'll just talk very loudly. Thank you.
Motion moved. And second?
Sorry, who was the second?
That was me. The one that was crazy one.
I apologize that was out. Was this on the 410?
Yes.
Well,
We got to pull it out. A and B and C are being approved, and they're going to talk individually about B and D.
A and C, so the motion was made by Roger.
Seconded by me.
Okay.
Discussion? None? All in favor?
Aye.
And also they disclosed ex parte communications regarding B and D, I think, as well.
Motion approved in second, second approved. The second one is the motion, 165 Water Street, that was pulled out.
Roger, if I could ask you one question, you say you're a representative of the applicant on that one, right? Do you financially gain from it? Are you allowed to vote on this issue, or do you have a voting conflict, which would mainly turn on whether or not you have a financial gain or avoidance of loss or something like that by voting on this item?
Personally, no, but for I'm the commander of the post, that's the American Legion post. So financial gain and loss is based on my responsibility as their commander.
It might be the safest thing, Roger, is to abstain. Because
Well, that's why I wanted it separated, so I wouldn't vote on it.
okay, you're playing on the thing. I was asking to say if you could abstain, so because I'm glad you're here.
You want my form? I already got it filled out.
You're ahead of the game. You're ahead of the game, man.
Okay.
Sorry for delaying.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from, but that's the reason why I did it.
Sounds good.
Okay, so we're gonna take D first.
Yeah.
All right. D is the 165 Water Street, new
Yes.
addition. Discussion?
I have, I don't know. It's crazy, did you hear it? Nobody wants to hear it. Okay. So I have, are we ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I have a concern with that property because apparently, and maybe we did it just as a group when we approved this, I don't know if it was approved for a CAC or a COA on the last addition that was put on this property, but the so-called addition on that property is actually a whole new house that is on, the weird thing is it faces Water Street, the addition faces, I guess that's Castile Road,
Yeah.
and it's got an address of 165B. It's got a front door, it's got a driveway, it's a whole house.
Be Water Street, not Castaneda Road.
But it can't be because the front door faces Casanova Road. So that doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't matter, the property is Water Street. The original house is on Water Street, so the secondary house has the same address, but a letter designation.
Was it once a garage?
It used to be a garage, he was going to turn it into an apartment, and he went too far in dismantling it, and he had to stop.
And wound up on the
Because
whole
he went-
house.
He went too far, and he didn't leave any of the wall left standing, so he ended up redoing the whole thing and putting in the apartment instead.
So now he wants to put a new addition on there. So my question is several. What's being done with the septic? Because if he puts it, I don't know if that house, the new house, is on the same septic as the old house. And then he wants to put another addition. The septic for that house is for like a 2-bedroom, 1 bath. Now he's added a whole other house, and now he wants to add a 400 square foot with a laundry room, a master bedroom, and another bathroom on there. And I don't know if that new one has its own power. It has new power going into the new house? Okay, so he has separate power for the new so-called addition.
But that power is off of a pole and not buried underneath, I believe. So that's another, and it's detached. So it's not an addition to the existing home.
Exactly, but that's what he said it was in addition to the home.
Right.
And I don't even know if that property's even big enough to put another addition onto. I mean, that's a small piece of property. Now you've got 2 houses there, and he literally wants to practically build a whole other new house on as an addition.
Oh, the property's 150 feet.
He owns all the way to the
Pretty
north
good
fence.
sized piece.
To the fence?
Yeah, he owns all that whole area.
If I could just say, just kind of looking, this is quite beneficial. Our focus is, we're on a COA. So that's a certificate of appropriateness, and our focus should be on the historic aspect, our design criteria guidelines, and I'm sure that he will have to meet septic standards, but I question whether septic standards are something that should be talked about as part of the COA. He still has to make sure he complies with all, whatever the septic standards are, he will comply with that, but the submittal here was just for the exterior of the building.
I get it, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying there's already issues on that property. I just want, as far as I'm concerned.
And then, and there may be, they need to be addressed by, whether it's through the building department or through the county department of health, because it's a septic system, they will be addressed. I just want to try to keep us focused on the review criteria that you all need to be on. I'm not saying you're not pointing out very legitimate issues,
Right.
but for this particular application, since we're quasi judicial, we focus on the certificate of appropriateness criteria.
Okay.
When is it appropriate to address those concerns? I'm sorry, I missed that part.
What's that? The second part?
Yes, when is it appropriate to address any concerns we have on that property?
Well,
After quasi judicial?
well, this is before you for the COA criteria. So that's really the exterior historical part. I don't know that the other concerns, other parts of the development will come back to you for approval. They may not, they may be handled administratively. There may be a septic application that because you expand the size of the home, maybe you add a bathroom, you gotta now go back to the Department of Health of the county to make sure that septic will now has the capacity to hold that. If it doesn't, you have to meet the county's guidelines on the septic tank. That may not come back to you for review or approval. That's the county's determination. There may be other building code issues that our building department will address and our building official will address. That will not come back to you for approval. He has to comply with the codes. If there are certain codes that he's able to ask for a variance from, because he's asking for relief from, that will come back to you to grant relief, variance if it's appropriate to ask for a variance from that rule. But the construction aspect of the home, the construction aspect of homes typically don't come before this body for review. The building official looks at it and makes sure they comply with the Florida Building Code. They've got to go to the Department of Health and make sure they meet all the requirements for septic tanks, the utility lines have to go through the Florida Building Code. All that stuff has to be addressed. It just doesn't come here for review. And if you have a question or a concern, I would say email those to Jim to say, these are the concerns we have. But I don't know that I can't recall that any of those types of approvals come back to this body for approval.
Mention of septic tank, does it mean that he's applying for one, or that there's one already been
Well,
done?
we don't know, because that doesn't come through the city, that's a county thing.
My understanding is there's currently people, living in it, so this is not a new home. This is-
Oh, it's brand new. Oh, the one he wants to now have
Yeah,
again?
no, it's adding a master bedroom in the back with a laundry room, so there's a septic system that's already with the house. I think his daughter's living in the house.
Yeah, it's a septic system, but it's for a 2-bedroom, 1-bath home. It's
The number of bedrooms and baths is what the health department will require on what size septic tank they
So
have.
it's undersized.
So they may already have a large septic tank there, I don't know.
I would agree that staff needs to make sure that every aspect of any new home, that whether it's an addition or a new home, or whatever the situation is, they gotta make sure they comply with codes. That includes the septic codes, whether they gotta send it to the county. All those codes should be reviewed by staff to make sure any additions, new construction has to comply with all the applicable codes.
If I'm not mistaken, this building, when I saw it being built, they did put a septic system in.
Yeah, we're not talking about that one.
Oh.
We're talking, he wants to do a new addition. He wants to do another
Okay.
addition.
Yeah, this is.
Oh, okay, all right, okay. Moving on. Any suggestions, any comments?
I make a motion we approve the certificate of appropriateness and follow the historic board's recommendations.
Second.
Motion second. Any further discussion?
Listen.
Lynn? Take a vote. Zone 1,
No.
Zone 2,
Yes.
Zone 3, Zone 4.
No.
Roger said, Roger said, Roger said. I'm gonna say no.
Since this is a COA is a development order, since you voted no, we ought to probably have a motion to deny, and then specifically outline the reasons for the denial.
I will make a motion to table this until we do some more research on the building codes and whatnot, because it might be a moot point in my opinion.
True.
I can agree with that.
So is that the motion?
Motion to table, yes.
I'll second
Motion to move table, second, all in favor?
it.
Aye. Any opposed? One opposed. So,
So the things you were talking about, obviously septic tanking.
There's more than what we covered, so I will put together plans.
so we will have an opportunity to address this again, or does the owner have to come back and resubmit or something?
Well, this application will have to come back addressing questions that.
We'll look into it and get answers, and whether it's the owner that answers, we got answers, I don't know.
Are there questions we need to submit? In other words, is,
Well, I know about the septic. Heather said she had a couple of others that she would send.
And I have some too.
Okay, so if you'll send them to me, I'll consolidate them and I'll get them then to Debbie in order to get back to VHB.
all right.
And it may come directly back to you. If the issues aren't historic structure related, you just have questions about them, then we just come
Yeah,
back to you.
regular answer, then we'll do that.
That's what I was trying to distinguish between, you're looking at a very, when you do this type of approval, you're looking at a very narrow issue. The historic, structure, appearance of the structure. And you have questions about other aspects of this. We'll get you answers to those other aspects.
Oh, so we're
Now we'll go to D.
to the D.
On this one, I want to answer any questions you have, anything, but I will not vote on it because I'm their representative.
Yes, sir. The issue with this one is,
I have a question on this one, unless anybody else wants to. Okay, excuse me, in reviewing the certificate of appropriateness here, is for the fence and high top tables. However, I see the canopy and I do not see it listed anywhere in the application.
What?
Is it considered an application?
What the historic board did put in here is because they were only approving the wood fence and the high top table, they did not put that in there because they tabled it because they needed more information.
Okay, so the canopy portion is
That's
gonna
not,
come
that's gonna come later.
later. Okay, understood, thank you.
The canopy as as it is now proposed doesn't meet the gateway corridor, so they're gonna come back with something that meets for that review.
Has that canopy come down yet?
No,
Or do you plan on leaving it up until you come into compliance?
no.
Okay. There's also a question raised about the eating area supposedly over the septic and drain field, is that true?
Nobody except for Cookie knows where the septic tank is, and he's only based it on him probing the ground. And that area is on the old railroad bed, and it was solid from the building to the sidewalk, which means that we don't have that large of a septic tank.
So there's
But
no,
we don't know where the septic tank is on the property. We gotta hire somebody to come in and find it for us. And that might be an issue on the location, depending on the health department. We might have to put in a request to move the picnic area and stuff.
my other question is the fence. There's like, because that's gateway corridor and historic area. There's only 2 fences that are approved for that area. And I don't think that one meets the criteria.
that the 2 rail fence,
Historic board said it met their criteria.
Are we talking about the split rail fence or 2
Yeah.
rail fence? Okay. I'm showing that as,
We have an existing cable fence that's around the western side of the property.
that's not considered in this application?
No, because it's existing. It's been up there for over 40 years.
Oh, well.
So if, so
right?
approved, I mean, they approved it, but if it's not what is in the approval book or whatever that they use for that, for gateway and historic, then that's gonna open up a can of worms for anybody else to put unapproved or fences in that area.
Well, the historic board felt that it met their requirements, and it is a wood rail fence and not a slat fence, and it's not a picket fence, and it's about 20 feet inside the property line, maybe 25 feet inside the property line, so it's not on the border area of the property either. So they said it doesn't really take away from, it actually adds to the visual appearance of the building and the property. So,
And when did you say the canopy was coming down? I'm sorry, I missed it.
we're working on getting some people together to do it because the weather, the cooler weather and stuff like that, the sun's not hitting the tables as hard as it did before, and it's a little bit cooler outside, so it's not necessary to have it up there for the.
It's not cemented in or anything, is it?
No, it's got screw clamps holding it to the fence. That's why it was able to survive Milton, because
Yeah,
it's
because that should be able to be
anchored to
taken
the
down
fence.
in an hour, I would think, I don't know. So,
No, taking canopies alone taking down is about an hour.
but that came down, okay, that's another problem, that came down before the hurricane and then it went right back up. But once there had already been a complaint filed, why did that go back up? I don't understand that.
To provide sunshade for the people that were coming out there and picking here.
But there had been a complaint, okay, then that's probably not for you, maybe this is for, what is the lead time for somebody to come into compliance once a complaint is filed? Because all these complaints are complaint driven, and when somebody goes out on a limb and puts their name on something,
So I'll explain,
just to be basically given the middle.
I'll explain this, because I'm seeming to be the one that's doing the case.
Thank you.
So when they brought it to commission in the beginning, it was told to go to the HPV board. It was kind of caught up into that situation of what's going to be allowed, what's not allowed. At that time, I talked to City Hall with Jim and Debbie, and we decided to hold up for HPV to make their decision. From what I just found out, that HPV denied the canopy. I actually talked to Roger on Saturday about it. From what I understand, they were okay with the fence and the tables, and it was coming in front of you guys to find out that ultimate ruling. And so far, like I've told him on Saturday, as it stands, we'll have to take the tent down.
And
The canopy.
when? Is there a time frame?
The only thing I'm waiting on is the rest of the decision on those other two items, whether or not they go onto the paperwork that I give them, and he has 14 days to remove them. That's what I give everybody else in the city.
Okay, because it's already been like 8 weeks.
Correct, but understand, because once we gotta figure out what's allowed and what's not allowed, because the issue with the fence was it's not on the property line, it's inside the property. That's your guys' decision. I go by what you guys say. So once you guys make your decision, I'll follow up the rest of the paperwork and they'll be submitted to them. And if they don't come into current within 14 days is when we start the actual violation.
It didn't approve the historic board did not approve the tent.
From what I
They
understand,
didn't approve it based on tabling it. It's not approved yet because they tabled it.
Okay, so it was not unapproved, it just hadn't been addressed by tabling, you're saying.
Yeah, because there was some issues that came up with, our ordinances covers carport canopies, those portable carport canopies, and event canopies, and tree canopies, but there's nothing in our ordinance that talks about sunshades or sun sails. And so that's an issue that we have to add to our ordinances.
Is
Did
there,
they table that?
The biggest thing that they didn't like about it was the metal poles.
right,
Yeah, I can see that being confusing because it's constructed more like a car
the carport,
cover than a sun.
But it's not
shade.
solid, it's
Right.
a woven material to allow
Now we're splitting hairs.
Yeah, I can understand why they wanted to do the search.
Yeah, because anyone that puts up a carport, I know that at one point, he put up a carport and we actually had to have one guy take it down.
I was gonna say, my recommendation as far as the canopy, unfortunately, from one in the past, but we've done with other people, they didn't remove the canopy until it's gone to the HPV and brings it to you guys to be approved to be there.
Thank you.
But at the current moment that it's not there and hasn't been permitted, then it needs to come down because we've done that to other.
Well, that's the other point, it hadn't been permitted.
Correct.
So we
That-
really shouldn't even be waiting on HPV because there was no permit for it. In my opinion. But you're the code enforcement guy.
Well, I mean, we gave that break to the person on Pleasant, or to bring that back to the city and decide what they're going to do before we make them remove it. So,
Well, then that brings up the question, why would we allow one person to keep their whatever canopy or sunshade or whatever they've got up, and then tell someone else? I mean, are we not being consistent?
no, we are, because what I'm saying is being consistent with Pleasant. So when the problem issue came up with Pleasant Avenue, that was when they put a metal carport next to the house that was actually matching the house and everything. Came in front of the commission at that time. We were involved with code enforcement on it, but we had held back because it was a decision being decided by commission whether or not they were going to allow that canopy to stay there because they brought it to commission, which everybody has a right to. Waited for that, and for that decision to be made. Once the decision was made, they were told to take it down. They took it down within the 14 days, so they didn't proceed past that. But, I mean, we gave other people that option when it comes to certain things. Here's the problem. Some of our ordinances, like I spoke before, are they're not set in stone like for one person to read it. So there's certain things we have to let you guys decide and make that choice. Because the only the other part is, I send it to the magistrate. Now it costs the city money to have the magistrate come in here and sit here and hear the hearing and decide what he wants to decide. Well, if the city's going to allow it, there's no reason to waste the money at the beginning until you guys make your decision and we follow up.
Too many of our ordinances are left up to interpretation.
Well, it looks to me, based on what he's got up there, that you could almost call it a canopy versus a sunshade, because sunshades that I know are pretty expensive backyards are typically for training
There's multiple different types of sunshades. I looked it up when I was looking at sunshades, and there's multiple different types and multiple different ways of putting it on.
But
We did it based on what was donated to us.
did you
Made
just,
it cheaper.
did you just call it yourself a sunshade, or it was actually a sunshade that you sent to? Or did
The
you-
frame was given to us, so there's no material on the frame was given to us. We used it to put the sunshade on.
But my question is, when you purchased, or it was given to you, was it given to you under the auspice that it was a sunshade or a canopy? To just put up?
Sunshade.
Is there-
Because we originally were going to put up the same way that the Montezuma School has theirs up, with the poles and the cables holding the sunshade. And she said, well, instead of buying the poles, I've got these frames you can have, and you can do it. So, that
My neighbor
fit
has
the frames.
sunshades that are attached to the structure of the house. And they don't all hit one pole.
Some do, some don't.
Yeah.
My question is, Jim, did they table that, or did they deny it, or did they table it? Because I was under the impression that they denied it.
Well, since no one's here and Troy's left, I'm disappointed because they would have been part of the vote on this. I'm going by memory. They said the current structure did not meet code.
That's what I thought.
And the discussion was, if we've seen those ones you can purchase and electronically, they go out, cover your area and go back. And I think Roger said there was some cost issue involved in that. And so the other aspect then was that they were going to work with him on something that met the code, that had some kind of posting, permanent and whatever, or you still may be able to take the top down for weather or what have you, but what was up is not allowed in the gateway quarter.
Well, and that's not really for consideration tonight anyway. Is there any, are we ready for a motion? Or was there?
Bring a motion. Is there a motion?
The fence and the tables.
Yeah, I make a motion to approve the fence and the tables. As stated.
Second.
Discussion?
I would've done
Thank
that.
you,
Is
Al.
there-
We got a card here.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Preston?
Good evening, Todd Preston, 352 Connecticut Avenue. I just wanted to point out a couple of things. Number one, the ordinances are very clear when it comes to the gateway corridor. They're clear about canopies and temporaries, and it doesn't meet it, period. The fence also doesn't meet the gateway corridor standards. The Historic Preservation Board, for whatever reason that they decided to approve this, they erred. They made a mistake because the building codes and gateway corridor are very clear and they're very specific. I have them over there, I can read it, but I think that you all should read it. So this is the gateway corridor. Fences have to have architectural caps on them. They have to have setbacks. They have to meet the design specifications of the building. They have to be aesthetically pleasing. They're very specific. I can't understand why the Historic Preservation Board, I can assume, but I can't understand why they said, well, we don't really regulate fences because it's not on the perimeter. I just want you to be clear and understand the precedent you're setting here tonight when you say, we're going to allow this because it's not on the perimeter. Because when you do, you are changing your codes by doing that. You are saying to the next person, hey, you put a split rail fence, no problem. It's not on the perimeter. Last guy did it, you can do it. This is what you're doing. This is my whole point. Follow the rules or change the rules. If you, as a commission, want to allow a variance saying, this is the Legion, it's a great organization, they've been here for 90 years, we want them to have their fence. We're going to make an exception, we're going to give them a variance. The next person who comes along who puts up a fence says, he can't say, I'm putting it up because they put it up. Because you did it the proper way. They asked for a variance, an exception, and you gave it to them. If you allow this fence, now as it stands, it does not meet the building code for the gateway corridor, period. And the Historic Preservation Board was wrong. Read it. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Well, Historic Preservation Board is our governing body that.
No, they're not. They're advisory.
They're advisors.
They're our governing, informs us, which means that they advise us on issues and what needs to be done. Now, I don't understand why Todd Preston has decided to use the American Legion to come after me and drag the Legion through all this just to attack me, because that is exactly what he is doing. And when you get through a lot of the stuff that is going on, he isolated after just the American Legion when there are approximately 6 other similar structures in the gateway corridor that we cannot find permits for, that have been up there for more than a year or more, possibly. I think one of them's been up there for at least 5 or 6 years. So why is he targeting the American Legion? Because he was after creating problems for me. He won't admit that, but that is what it is. It's a personal vendetta by him.
I think that Todd Preston is doing this because he is a stickler for the rules. He's always been a pain in the butt when it comes to that. And I think he knows the codes like inside out.
Then why didn't he go after the other ones 5 years ago? Why did he wait till now?
I don't read his
Can we
mind.
not, can you bring the temperature down?
Why didn't you go after the other
I mean,
ones?
No.
We have an ordinance, we have a gateway, we have procedures. If every person that was out of compliance and no one complained about it, then it's on us, it's on them. If this is an issue that's been brought up before the city, the advisory board is what approved it. In every case where there's an advisory board, when it comes to us, city commission, the buck stops with us, no matter what the advisory board said. So I'm just clarifying that. But that being said,
I have a
there's a
question.
motion on the floor and there's a second.
Mr. City Administrator, could you please read that section of ordinance aloud on the fences and the gateway corridor? I'm trying to pull it up on my phone, but you may be faster, so that we may hear it.
I think Scott's looking for it.
I think Todd's got a
I'm sorry, did I say Administrator and Administrator? Forgive me.
I already know you have it.
That's what I think. I knew he had a copy of it.
That's what he has highlighted, if it helps you.
Is it this one?
4070226.
Isn't it? 5.24.
Those are the two, he also has 40800, which is, let me make sure. Is this one part of the, this is the second page? Because this one has the fence on it. I'm assuming that's the 40800.
This is the gateway corridor standards for fences.
Isn't that should be 5.04.08? That's the gateway.
That's what the other one is.
Huh?
That's what the other one is, isn't it?
Gateway's 5.04.
This one's for commercial fences, the 40702.
Right, that's what I have right here, 5.04.
5.04.08.
Yes. Yes.
That's all I was asking.
Yeah.
Because it's cut off at the top.
Sorry.
Fencing, design and construction quality of fence, screen, privacy, garden walls, important visual reflections of community character and quality. Fence and wall design shall conform to the following requirements. Fence, screen, privacy, and garden walls shall be designed to be consistent with the principal structures. Such design shall include the use of similar materials, colors, finishes as a principal structure. The requirement may be modified upon application to the city commission where the applicant demonstrates to the city commission or designee determines that a change in material, color, finishes will result in enhanced city aesthetics. Fences, screens, privacy, and garden walls shall be architecturally designed with offsets, raised elements, and landscape pockets to avoid an expansive, monolithic, or monotonous appearance. For privacy fences adjacent to roadways, it shall have one landscape pocket within 50 linear feet. The landscape pocket must be a minimum of 1 full panel length wide and 50% panel length depth. Example, an 8-foot panel would create an 8-foot by 4-foot pocket. Pocket landscapes must be shown on site plans, and canopy trees are encouraged within the landscape pockets. Where chain link fencing is required or approved, such fencing shall be black or green vinyl. Posts and rails shall be black or green vinyl. This requirement may be modified upon application to the city commission where the applicant demonstrates to the city commission or says he determines that design or location warrants the use of other colors or finishes. Landscape berm to may be utilized in lieu of fence or walls where the applicant demonstrates to the city commission or designates the berms will result in an equivalent aesthetic appearance. What I was looking for, and one thing I couldn't find, what's the definition of fence? That's the thing that's missing. And I think that's what the sort of preservation board was. Most of us think of a fence is along the perimeter of property, or within a certain proximity of the perimeter of property. And what we're talking about here is those fence-looking posts, or the fencing area that's in close to go around where the seating is.
Yeah.
So you're in from the property. Does that meet the definition of fencing? And I was trying to find where do we define where a fence is, where a fence has to be located, or anything like that, like a certain proximity. Fence shouldn't be further back than so many feet from the property line. That's what I was looking for.
And that's one of the things that they said, that it was aesthetically pleasing to them on the appearance of the fence.
And I mean, obviously, when I went through, there are various places where it says, unless approved otherwise by the commission or whatever the case may be. So, but what I was kind of flipping through is to say, does this actually meet the definition of a fence? Because of where it's approximately located on the property. That's the question.
Based on what you said there, it also does not violate the gateway corridor, and the historic board had the authorization to approve it and recommend it for their approval to us. The only difference in the definition is Todd Preston's interpretation, which he has interpreted numerous things, including state law, to be opposite of what it actually says.
I'm not even into all that, but I was looking at this trying to say, do we define what fence is? And our land development does not have a definition of fence that I can find.
Is there additional language anywhere else defining the type of fence? I know I heard chain link and vinyl.
This is the
And
fencing.
garden wall and something else.
Right.
And this is the fencing in the,
Well, you listed all types of fences. You had garden wall, privacy fence.
well, you had a fence, screen, privacy, or garden wall. You kept referring to those things. I wouldn't say those are types of fences, because those are four things that the fence is one, screen is one, privacy is one, and garden wall is one. They're not all in the definition of things, because fence is one of the four that was listed. But then they do allow chain link if it's covered black or green vinyl tape type. And then, it says that, the fence shall be designed consistent with the principal structure. Such design shall include the use of similar materials. The requirements may be modified upon application to the commission. So if it's not similar materials, the commission can approve it, as long as it demonstrates to the city commission that it determines that the change of materials, colors, and finishes will result in enhanced city aesthetics. That's it. So it's either use the materials of the structure, principal structure, or you think it's aesthetically pleasing, you can do something else.
And our outline fence does have wood poles, even though it has metal cable running between the poles. And our eaves material, vent eaves are brown, which means, even though the wood fence is a tan color instead of a brown color, but it is woodish.
Is that upon application, you said the commission can make a decision, so is there an application?
I would assume that's what we have.
So we have to then at least make an application. Does this constitute an application?
I would assume so. And I do understand what, Todd's saying is that if you were to find that, and I would want to make sure that a variance is allowed from gateway standard requirements. That's another altogether question. But generally, if somebody wants to have relief from our codes, there's a variance request. Now, if you look at the criteria for variance, that's kind of hard to satisfy. You know, because all of a sudden you get into, okay, what's unique about this piece of property that justifies this treatment different than everybody else? And you usually don't say, well, it's because it's a not-for-profit and there's good things for the community. That's not one of the review criteria. Is it self-created? There's different types of criteria for variance. I do understand what Todd's saying, and that could be an avenue, depending on how strictly you interpret those criteria, the American Legion may have qualified. I don't want to be my bad.
Also, I added a note, these two projects that's on here are both Boy Scout Eagle projects, which the Boy Scout Eagle projects did the fence over at the equestrian center, and I believe they did the fence in some of the patio area at the CAC when the gym station was there.
Any further discussion? We have a motion, do we have a second? You need to take a vote?
I'm just, I want
Take a
to,
time.
I'm trying to pause and absorb, the caution you were given mixed with, what was read to us. It, being in the gateway corridor is of value, and certainly it goes without saying the organization is tremendously valuable. I'm trying to understand the language that, Mr. Preston read and how it's so differing from what our city attorney read and where that discrepancy is coming in, because there was something about caps. And is that from a different part of the code in not the gateway?
I don't know.
Because when I read the language, I read the same thing that you read
Mhm.
previous to, the meeting. But now I'm hearing about the caps,
Caps?
the,
Caps.
And it's closed, yeah.
It's closed. Is it a requirement, or is that just a?
I read the part about fencing under gateway. 5.04.08 deals with outdoor living areas, fencing, and sidewalks.
What about historic? Is it in the gateway or is
It's
it
in the gateway corridor standards.
in their standards?
The gateway corridor standards are in addition to the regular building codes, and they're more stringent guidelines, and they're specific standards for construction inside the gateway.
And that's what I'm reading. 5.4 is the gateway. And 08 deals with fencing. Is there another section in the gateway I should be looking at?
It describes the setbacks for the fences and the architectural standards.
Is that in the gateway?
Yes,
What section?
should be 5.04,
Well, 5.04 is the whole gateway.
right?
What's the next? There's another two numbers at the next.
It's before 8, should be around 5 maybe.
05? 05 is building orientation.
No. 5.04.
5.04 is architecture style application.
I don't see anything in here that classifies what you're saying. My outtake on it says that basically, like he's saying, and ultimately it says that it's up to you guys to change it or not.
It is.
I mean, my opinion, the worst part of this whole thing is maybe it should be brought to the channels before it was put up in the beginning. I would have that, his fight on that one, which I think is most of his fight.
The original installation of it was brought before the channels, and we were told the Boy Scouts did not require a permit for it. They changed that after Todd submitted his complaint about the entire project. Then they reneged on the approval of the fence and said you need to get a permit.
Oh, I couldn't, who's,
Debbie Pound.
So, but Debbie told them that?
The
Told them
permit
that?
person told us we did not need a permit for the Boy Scout project when we first went through it. So we had told them to go ahead and do the fence. The tables were not covered underneath our codes. The tables going on a sidewalk, you had to leave room for pedestrians. It does not talk about
Which from what I
tables that are
understand, so-
inside of
And
there.
I don't think anybody city-wise has that argument about the tables, correct? I don't think none of us have found anything about the tables.
Debbie says that, she issued the fence in error.
In the beginning?
In error? So was the permit that was permitted, that was in second thought?
That's why she included in this application, to try to take care of it, is correct.
Okay. So the process that Roger went through was approved on one level, but it was an approval that was in error, which now is bringing it back to us to either correct the error or deny it. Okay. I'm clear.
Is it correct there, because that was taken care of, correct? I mean, it,
Yeah, but also it says right
Debbie-
here too that they can change.
it was for the permit, and then once that got started, it was corrected. And so then the Legion took that to the appropriate channel, this board,
And they okayed the fence.
and
Yes,
so the wrong was made fine,
yes.
and there should be no problem.
So now the commission decision to either uphold the HPA recommendation or modify or deny.
This is all part of the process that's got to be done before the permit gets issued. And we still are working on getting the fundings to finish the other requirements of the permit. So this is just one step in the permitting process.
I get that, but I just wanted it to be clearly stated that the error was corrected.
It's being corrected by going through this process.
It's in the process. We need a survey and some of the things to
But
roll.
that's
Yeah.
not, this portion on the fence is all we're voting on tonight. Okay, seems simple to me.
And the hardest thing is, and I mean, and I know we do this, but it has nothing to do with the issue of what the building is used for or who did the project. Yeah, I mean, it's a great organization, the Scouts and what they did, and my God, who's going to say that there's anything wrong with the Legion, but the decision is black and white in the sense of he's gone through the process, curing the issue with the fence, the seating was never an issue, and so that part's done, so the canopy was tabled versus being denied, to give an opportunity to bring something back that met the code.
I just wanted to allow time for the city attorney to check the language and make sure there wasn't anything we had missed. I did review the language prior to the meeting. I did not find it to not be in compliance, but it also doesn't definitively say what, or doesn't outline the fencing, what a fence is or.
And I'm not even sure if that's in my mind. I mean, I didn't want to interject this, but a fence is something that keeps, it's a barrier to keep people from one side or the other.
Right.
This is more decorative. I mean,
It actually,
And it's
one of the
internal.
purposes of the Scouts doing it is to separate a parking area from where the people seat at, so we don't have seating in amongst the cars anymore.
I guess it could be, but this is the area where I dropped that check off, right?
Yeah.
Same area. It looks aesthetic to me, it's a decorative, makes it look nice. I mean, I don't think people are gonna park where the seating is anyway, but, you know, it's just a decorative feature as opposed to truly.
The fence was done before the seating part, so.
So, but that's just my opinion. We don't, I can't find a definition of fence.
And we usually portable tables and chairs out
that's what we're bringing, this is my problem with a lot of the codes, is that a bunch of, we're arguing about this one, is there's a lot of them like this. And it's hard to enforce something you can't justify on paper. I mean, Florida state statutes for there, it's boom, 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 boom. If you don't obey by it, this is what happens. And ours don't do that.
If you're speeding, you're speeding.
And it tells you what the speeding fines are. And I just write you the fine, I follow the book. These are very big, not all of them, some of them fixed, but there's a lot of vague. And then for some reason, when it got switched over to the computer system, we lost some of them. They're like gone. My coach watched a couple of them lately and found out they're not there no more.
I didn't bring my hotspot.
Well, great motion and second as part of the discussion. I really have a problem with if the citizen brings something to our attention and it is for us to make decisions about it. I don't think it's necessary to call the person who may be making a valid point to make it personal. I think that's too much of that has been going around, hasn't gone around. I don't think if it was just to the point of what it is that we either, as a commission, make a decision about and move on about our business, but to make it personal, I have a problem with that. And that's because being on the receiving end of that, I know how to do this. So, we have a motion. Roger is abstaining because he is a party to this. We have a motion and a second. Zone 1.
Yes.
Zone 3. Yes.
Yes.
Zone 4.
Yes.
And I'm a vote no. That's for my personal reasons. Okay?
The mayor was no, and Roger abstained.
Exactly.
I just have one question, because I got lost in all this motion.
So approve the fence and the high top table.
Okay, so fence and high top is good right now.
The
Just so I'm,
canopy,
done yet.
canopy needs to be done before you get it.
But you still have to get permits and stuff, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, still gotta finish doing the permit.
Okay.
Which usually, I mean, I was explaining, so it's all out there on the air for everybody. I explained this to the top before, as long as they are, working towards doing what they're doing on code. Like if he's, obviously he's in the process now, as long as he continues that process with City Hall and the fence and the tables to be approved, then, we're not gonna violate him on those things because he's following the process.
Right.
But we will follow up on the canopy, the canopy needs to be removed 14 days from starting to walk.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so that wraps up the quasi judicials, the administrative reports. You have the floor.
First thing in your packet is Ivy Lawn Charter School has an event request for 5K.
This is the one that got delayed because of all storms.
Yeah. And it's proposed for January 25th, 2025.
The event date is 27th.
That's the cleanup date and the setup date.
The actual event time and date, date 27, January 27th, starts at 7:30, ends at 11. Is that what's in that box?
Yeah, I was looking at the box, and it's a date requested on 25.
And that's before the setup date.
Yeah, I know, and I saw the setup date, it's the 26th, the cleanup is the 27th, so,
So which one of the dates are we using? Well, Christmas Day is, January is not Christmas.
actual date of the event, 1/27 starts at 7:30 a.m. and ends at 11 a.m. If we drop down to the next box.
Okay, so it's 27th.
Yeah.
Is there a motion? Discussion?
I make a motion to approve the event request from Ivy Lawn Charter School for the 5K.
Second?
Second.
Motion moved in second, all in favor?
Aye.
Approved.
Just so we're clear, the dates requested are the 26th and 27th, we've determined, or is it the 25th?
The date of the actual event is the 27th, setup is the 26th, and cleanup would be the 27th after the event.
Okay.
That was the.
I would give them a call just to double check.
Yeah,
and
really
make sure.
sure.
Yeah. Okay,
The other item there, it's listed as CAC, and I only put this on here as a reminder to me. This item in your packet is from Ideas Empanadas LLC. This was left on our tables at the last meeting, and nobody ever said anything about it. I don't even know where it came from.
Okay, George, the guy that runs Nittians,
no.
he didn't know, he had to put up a public comment to request attention to it, and Karen didn't advise him at the time to do it, so that's why it didn't come up last night.
Okay. He came to see me, because he was told he had to come see me, and I would grant the deal or the discussion involving for him to use the CAC, and I said it didn't work that way. So first of all, the commission has to do that, and secondly, if the commission is going to do that, they could not pick him and go into negotiation with that. We would have to do an RFP, a public process, and take proposals from any company that would want to do that. So tonight's not the night for that, but I wanted it in here as a reminder only because it was left on this table, and I don't want somebody thinking something's happening, but maybe what we need to have, let's get to the holiday, let's get to this hurricane cleanup, and we have a workshop on what you want to do with the CAC, since the Gems have terminated their agreement, so that we can determine what you want to do with that building. It could be getting proposals from people to go in there. It may be hanging on to it because it may be office space that's needed for City Hall if we ever do something on the building. I mean, so there's some options that are there, but I put this in here just as an aspect because nothing was said about it at the last meeting, and when they came to see me, I told them I don't make those decisions, the commission makes them. So it's more of an information item, and so then what we can do then is, if you don't mind, let's get through the holiday and maybe we set up a work session in January and talk specifically about what you want to see or do with the CAC.
Okay.
All right?
Brings us to the next thing. City Hall, which is,
At the last meeting, we were asked to go back and talk with the vendors, and none of them are willing to break this into multi-year projects. They said, just based on pricing, restaging, remobilizing, they'd have to bid the project every year. It would be done in phases anyway, and quite honestly, their comments were that they spent a lot of time, a lot of effort, and a lot of money sending their folks out, analyzing the building, putting their bids together, and if the city wasn't stepping up and making a decision, and there was money there, then, they weren't interested in doing it in pieces. So we have to maybe have a discussion, if it's not tonight again, on what do we do on the building. And I'm going to go a little off track here, but you heard what are occurring tonight. And on your stormwater, if we just look at the old plan, it was valued at $4 million. Just be talking with Ryan, those estimates are now $7 to $8 million. That was a plan that is going to be updated, which could add several $1 million more, because we know there are road projects now because of Milton that are on there. So we could be looking at $15 million on stormwater. You have a master water system is next in line. The initial price given on that was $8 million. That's some time ago, so we're probably talking $10 to $12 million. So we're now in the $20 million. We have $1 million on the City Hall, so we're somewhere between $25 million in capital projects. I don't know where to start. And we're going to have to sit down as a group and determine what this community can afford and what you're actually gonna tackle. I guess I've always heard the term, the can's been kicked down the road. There is no more road to kick the can down to, and now we're just kicking it against the wall, and prices are gonna continue to go up. Your water project gets paid with your water rates. So if you want $10 million or $12 million in loan, we're gonna have a review of our water rates to see whether or not they throw off enough additional profit to pay the loan. Because right now, it's just covering costs of getting through. Stormwater, we have $130,000 in the bank with $125,000 potentially coming in based on the houses. You've got $15 million in stormwater plans. You're not going to get a whole lot for $125,000 a year. So you're going to have some discussion on how we prioritize and what people are willing to pay. You've got capital issues that are on the general fund. So if we have an attitude in the community, can I don't want my water rates to go up. I don't want to pay any more in stormwater fees, and I want a lower millage rate. I'm going to tell you right now, I have no idea how you tackle any one of those projects. I have not seen something this massive and this overwhelming for a small city that has less than 1,200 lots. You don't count your population, because those are kids. You've got 1,200 lots. In one way or another, between water fee, stormwater fee, and general fund, may have to come up with $25 million just to maintain your current city because your infrastructure is deteriorating. Your stormwater problem is not from growth. A moratorium in Lake Helen actually will hurt you because you won't get any revenue to pay for any of those projects. The problem you got is you have no infrastructure. And the water system has been left and ignored, and at some point, you know, if that fails.
That's because nobody ever sat in that chair and put it in anybody's face directly like that. That's why. And it's just been kind of like, yeah, well, you know, it's going to be expensive. Yeah, well, you know, we can do it later, whatever. Well, I'm saying we're pretty much at a crisis situation right now.
If I may, you filled out an application today with the Transform 386
Yeah, like yesterday.
yesterday. Today was the last day. I don't know if you talked to Donna Butler or not.
Yeah, that's what the purpose.
Okay. Yeah, I thought you did today I was coming in. Obviously, there's monies there from Ian, which the deadline, I guess, has come and gone now on that, unless maybe we didn't sweet talk her. But we also have Milton. There's going to be monies coming in on that. Now, I found out about Transform 386 through Ms. Weary, who had attended a meeting and brought the information back. Of course, she let me know all about the infrastructure and things like that. But she gave me Donna's number. I had a meeting with Ms. Butler who explained how the program's divided, where the city itself can get infrastructure money. I know you and I talk about City Hall. To say that we really didn't have any damage to City Hall, let's say based on Milton now. The windows were horrible, cracked, whatever. Certainly you must have had more moisture or rain or something which would have created more problems for the building, I would think. Maybe we take that avenue because I believe is it Edgewater that's getting 14 million and Daytona is getting 22 million. I think that we really need to keep our eyes on that. Just see what it brings.
She told me unless we can document specific damage from Milton to that building, not existing damage, there's nothing they can do for us on City Hall. We would have to seek that through FEMA or other sources, and we're not going to get a FEMA claim because we don't have FEMA damages.
Have we actually gone up and checked to see if the ground around the windowsills, there's any water or anything like
Yeah,
that?
we-
There's dampness?
Well, we had to have a check because we found the back, and we needed to make sure that we didn't have back colonies getting in there. Turned out there's no backs, but there's
There's
rats.
plenty of rats.
They got water stains on the wood sill, on the wood sill, the windowsills.
I mean, no, there's gonna be constant damage, just the fact that the building's not sealed, so it's, but those aren't building chart damages, meaning like taking the roof off in terms of that aspect. What she told me the first step was getting that application in, because of what they're focusing on is stormwater. And so that first 200,000 would pay for that resiliency. And then those results, as Ryan said, then you go back for the bigger pots, and that's why everything was due today, because they need to see what the demands are, because even they're limited. But even with that, no matter whether you're dealing with the state government, the federal government, whether it's Barnaby, whether it's the congressman, we're still gonna have to put money in the game. There's nobody writing a check for 100% to take care of the problems in Lake Helen. The governor vetoed a previous list for things for Lake Helen because there was no money in it. So somewhere we have to commit the money. And then you throw in the middle of that, we're going to pay for the Milton cleanup. As of today, I told you, just under 9,000 cubic yards. Meeting with them tomorrow to see how many more streets there are to do. So we're probably looking $250,000, $300,000. Now, yes, that'll come out of that money that's in that pot, but then that means that money's gone, and we didn't budget any new money. So if we get another hurricane next week, or next June, July, and August, I don't know where I get your money to cover storms.
One of the things that happens with storms, especially with FEMA, if you will, they have what they call deferred maintenance. If there's something that you haven't done, and that can that you're talking about, that kept getting kicked and kicked and kicked. So when you get a storm, when they assess what you didn't do, as opposed to what has happened, they will take that off. That's not part of your storm damage. That's something that you neglected to do. And that's with your house, that's with your city. That is the problem that we're probably working. And I can sit here and say that we have kicked the can because I was holding the can sometimes. And we reached this point that it's really a scary situation, to be honest with you.
And that's really sad too, because
The new standards are that way.
Yeah.
Years ago, they used to cover it and add all the old stuff into it to get it covered for you. Nowadays, the new standards, they get in trouble if they do that, so they're looking.
Well, they're almost like an
Government's
insurance
looking at it.
company. They really fight to deny your claim. Okay, let's be honest. I mean,
And
they
even
fight to
with-
deny your claim.
Even with FROC that we're entering into now, they want a maintenance plan on all of our equipment, our buildings, everything. And we don't have any of
Made
that.
earlier tonight that we could have been cleaned up in a week or two. Yes, we could have been, but we would have been out 100% of that money.
Exactly.
At least what we're doing now with Crowder Grove and
We should
Tetra
get
Tech,
that 80%.
and we're done by January 12th, we're eligible to 100%
100%.
reimbursement.
I would like to address that city hall building. We seriously need to think about moving the employees out of that building. It's rat infested. They carry 35 different diseases. When they're pooping and peeing in there, you're breathing that in. There is actually deadly diseases that you can catch from that. I came in that building, and you know because I sent you an email, and I never even stopped in your office. I came in that building to pick up my packet. I'm going to need a courier to deliver that to me from now on. I will never come in that building again. I wasn't in there 10 minutes. I smelled it the minute I opened the door. My eyes, my nose, my throat was burning. Those employees are going to have to be moved out of there because there has been a sick building complaint made on City Hall. And now the health department's going to have to act on that.
And I know that flood the basement didn't help.
That's right,
Probably
absolutely.
chased some of them up.
And just like everybody else, 4 weeks later, we're pumping our basement
That's right.
because groundwater.
And I was also told that you can say that crap's upstairs and not downstairs. If you have central air, you're full of shit if you think that's not downstairs. And that's how it was put to me. I was also asked by the Ashley Moody's office, they said, don't you have a city attorney? And I said, yeah. And they said, well, what are they doing about it? Because this is a serious situation to keep those employees in that building.
The last wall evaluation report I saw, the outside air is worse than the inside air.
Okay, that was before nobody addressed the rat infestation that was
Right,
there.
That was
And everything
before,
else
I
that's-
think it changed.
Yes, it has. It's disgusting.
You are right.
I mean, the mold, and because we had a meeting and everybody, I mean, y'all were talking like people were dying. I mean, I was listening to this, I was like, wow, this is horrible. We're moving people in, we're moving all this stuff. So I asked Lee, I said, send me the mold reports. I've never seen these things. I looked at them and it was really, really mind-blowing. And then I saw the outside air had more mold than the inside air. And so, and I'm not saying it's not a serious issue, that doesn't need to be lifted, doesn't need to be addressed, but, you know, and those mold evaluations are expensive to get, I assume. They cost money to go get those
Well,
things.
the other thing I've been told is it's not just mold now. Fungus grows from those rats. And if there was any bats, it's a fungus and it can be in that mold. But if you're not testing for that, then you're not gonna know that there's fungus in that building. Either way, it has been reported, and either they'll find that it's a sick building and they'll shut it down, or they'll say, y'all go ahead and just let the employees stay there, one way or another. But I am not gonna sit by and allow those employees to work down there when I can't even walk into the building. And granted, it don't faze everybody, but it absolutely does some people.
It definitely, over a period of time, your exposure to mold initially, and I keep going back to my old job at FEMA, was that to walk in a person's house that had just recovered from flooding, and as me not being living in that house, walk in there to take a report, I smell it immediately.
Yes.
The people that have been there, it just amazed me for the number of people or number of houses that I would walk into, and I could barely breathe, and people that are in there, just like,
Because they get used to it.
their body becomes, I don't know, accustomed to it, they're a drain, but it does, over a longer period of time, do more harm than damage. And as our employees are required, or not required, they
I think they should all start working from home.
they should at least have a safe work environment. Not only from the standpoint of hostile work environment, I'm not talking about that, just your environment that we're putting our employees in. And I'm part of it because I stayed in that building probably more than 8 years. And I should know better, but it's where my office is, so.
But it has been,
We-
there's no black mold.
We've been doing a lot of discussion about the building and the problems with the building, everybody. So what are you looking for on this report? You want us to pick one of these guys to do work or what?
That's a hard thing to say, because then if we pick that, and we go initiate a contract, where do we start with the 1.2 million or the $1 million? I've got to have some money to start paying for them to start the process. We have 600,000 in ARPA, and we have 800,000 in reserves, and that's it.
Well, to get the building taken care of, that's a start while we look at ways to get other funds to replace it.
And it puts us one storm away from God knows what.
Yeah, I know. But we gotta do something with the building, we just can't let it sit there and get worse.
Can't let the employees do it.
Yeah. That's gonna be added cost too, either to move them to the CAC or to get in portable buildings to put in there.
Well, I'm
That's
going
moving
back
all
to,
power,
is it black mold or
everything.
not black mold? The reports I read, it was not black mold, and the same report, well, you know, I'm allergic to everything. Like if I walk on the grass outside, I'm allergic to the mold that grows underneath the grass.
Yes.
I take medication for it every
Well,
day.
In their building,
Flonase works wonders.
in their building, they got mold remediation.
That's right.
They didn't say black mold remediation, they said mold remediation.
Well,
So-
and bleach will take care of that, so,
Airport.
oh my gosh. I want to talk about
Okay, you're in the middle of the city hall, we didn't make any decisions on that, but that was
Seems like a workshop item.
a workshop area.
The health department will make that decision.
Why don't we tie the two of those with CAC, so if there's some discussion about moving and alternative uses, then we can tie that all into that aspect, because it would seem ridiculous to rent and bring some portable buildings out and pay that cost if we own buildings that just may need internet and wiring, I mean, dealing with our IT company and whatever, I mean, to get that part ready, especially if we were using it as a base while the building was being done.
Why don't you raise your hand and duck your head?
Come on up there.
Why don't I just go ahead and get a hold of like Angelo and a few people go in there and see what it'd be like to make offices in there so you have a price? What's it gonna cost to convert that? That way you have something to go on when you have your workshop?
Something that's separate.
Yeah, separate, you know, whatever we gotta do, have them go in there, look at it and see what we've gotta do to make it temporary, permanent, or whatever, and then you have a price to go by. If you have to move everybody, you can get construction started on and get it moved.
Is that
That
something
makes
you
sense.
could have before the December meeting by any chance, do you think?
I can ask Angelo, he's my closest one to go in there and look and see if he can give me some kind of cursory look at it, and see what we have and see on what our needs are gonna be. Yeah, we could probably get a ballpark. I'll call him tomorrow and see if we can do that. I'll try to get it to you by then.
I'm just wondering because I think, didn't we receive a check for 75,000 for the roof? And couldn't that be allocated to a potential move?
You could say that, that money went into your general
Oh, when it's
cost. There's
general.
no special line item that's sitting in, that went into your revenue, and it's just part of excess revenue that comes in and part of the balance in the budget.
Okay, very good.
well, and that was in last year's budget.
Yes, yeah.
And you know, the other thing that you all might want to think about for any of these projects, you could always do a bond referendum to go out and say, well, we need $1.5 million to renovate City Hall. And a bond referendum pledges tax revenue. That's why the voters have to approve it. Doesn't come out of your millage, doesn't come out of anything. And that will tell you how the people think. Ask the people to vote. Are you willing to pledge additional tax revenue to pay a $1.5 million, whatever it's going to be, bond? If they tell you no, that should tell you something. If it tells you yes, then you got the money to go where to go.
That we gave a bond to Ivy Hahn, $18 million.
I don't know,
We didn't give it to them. What is that? What was that?
that was,
They paid it back with.
we were a conduit
With a conduit.
for it, and they could have used any not-for-profit entity, any city. We were a conduit, the money came through, we somehow get some money out of that, but they were doing they used a tax exempt entity to, I believe, get preferred rates to buy the facility that they were renting. And that's what they were.
We just a conduit.
We're just conduit. That didn't take a vote of the people, because we weren't pledging our tax revenue.
Right, we weren't
What
putting
I'm-
on the hook for anything.
Right, what I'm talking about is not just the city being on the hook, that you are pledging the taxing power of the city to repay that loan. And only the electorate can approve that. They have to approve the bond referendum. And if you go out to them and you say, we need, whatever it is, $1.4 million to renovate City Hall. If they vote yes, you got $1.4 million you have to spend on City Hall, great. If they say no, that should really tell you something.
Tear it down, so.
No, I'm saying, it tells you the public isn't willing to pay for renovating City Hall.
That's right.
That's what it tells you.
Well, I think it'd be preposterous to even propose that right now, given the fact that people that can't
Underwater.
access their phones. I mean, it's
Well, there may be a better time to do it, but at some point, that is I don't say it's an easy access of the money, but you're capped on how much military you can levy. And so that's where, if you don't get other forms of government assistance, whether it's through low interest, zero interest loans, or grants, or other funding, you're gonna have to get it from your tax revenue. Unless you go and say, ask the people to vote on it, to do the renovation, the bond. And that then is a separate line item on their tax bill that they will pay for. And that will tell you a lot.
There's no good answers.
No, there isn't. Because I've also said a bond referendum would also could be help to deal with stormwater. You know, that's how you go to the people and say, look, we don't have the money as a city to afford this. These are major projects, these are major issues that y'all got to vote and say, do you want us to tackle these projects? And if you do, we need $10 million to do stormwater renovations from the flood zone. If it passes, great, you got $10 million, just go start doing your project. If it doesn't pass, then what does that tell you?
Would it help to have whatever agency or organization that would put this together to come and like sell it to us to be able to sell it? Because if we try to sell it ourselves, it's gonna go like a lit balloon.
I've never been involved. I've been involved in numerous bond issues, but never with the taxing powers pledged. So that actually is going to require an election. But my thinking is the rest of the process is the same. The same parties are involved in doing the bond issue. You've got the issuer, the council for the issuer, the city's bond council. We have bond council already. I could reach out to them to find out. So what, is the process really different other than the fact that we have to then conduct an election and for the voters to say yay or nay?
And then if they say yea or nay, then you gotta go through the process of
Issuing the bond.
well, and then selecting who you're gonna do it with.
Here.
The contractor?
Yes, if they would take proposals from bond companies in terms of,
Yeah.
because they all have different fees and costs and interest rates and what have you. So when you go through that process, then you get to the money side.
Yeah.
And like I said, you have three pots. I mean, your water system has to pay the water system. Tax dollars don't go to a business enterprise fund. Your stormwater is an enterprise fund. So people would have to vote to increase or charge themselves a higher rate for stormwater in order to fund those. And then you have your general fund items, which are then, you would have, as Scott says, an added millage on top of your regular millage.
And can I just say that we exceeded our time at 11:30? So is there anything else that we can expedite?
Well,
I make a motion that we extend it 30 minutes.
Motion moved to second to extend it 30 minutes. We could probably do it in less time than that, but all in favor?
Yes.
Aye. Aye. Thank you. Thank you. You ready? You have 30 minutes.
Well, he knows.
Okay, I'm sorry.
We want to make a motion to
We're
do a workshop and combine CAC and, what was the other one?
The
City Hall.
City Hall.
City Hall and had them address some way that we can get, well, the bond part of it.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, so the goal to try to set up a workshop in January.
Yeah.
Not sooner.
We can try,
Crowded.
I guess with another storm out there, and maybe I'm a pessimist, and people are saying it's not, but
Well,
my luck here in 9 months, it's gonna hit us.
they downgraded it to a severe rainstorm for us. With the cold front that's coming in at the same time.
Is that the good news?
Well, I mean, if it gets below 60 degrees, you know, it can be cold front Florida, you know?
All right, so,
All right, we can get some dates out to you in terms of there. I know you have the 2 reports in here from the other part. The other thing I have to advise you is I have to be out of town the week of December 12th. So we will either, you all can still have the meeting and go forward, or maybe look at moving it the week before
be out of town on the 12th, so the 12th to the 15th.
Oh, where y'all two
I'm actually planning funerals. This is getting crazy.
Well, the 12th is also the League of Cities, the Volusia League of Cities dinner night, and that's a night that they're going to fill the 3 or 5 vacancies that they've got. So,
And the 14th is the, 14th is the parade.
14th and a lot of
And
things.
it's also the Beats Across America.
I would say mid-January.
Race Across America usually starting at 12, usually gets done by 2:30.
And that's not a bigly attended by the school commission.
And Thanksgiving is late this year, so that kind of makes it hard, so if we flip to that first week in December, I mean, you know, right now, other than the second read on the cyber ordinance and the, what was the other one we did tonight?
The speed.
School zone.
We need to bring the green back up to.
Yeah, so I mean, those are two pending, then with your regular standard items, but the LDRC has it next, so I don't know if there's anything to come forward on that, and the two items that were tabled by, oh no, they were passed. I don't know what the HPA agenda is, in fact, I have to see if they're even meeting, because I think it's the Monday or Tuesday of Thanksgiving. So they may not meet, so it potentially could be a light agenda. But, I mean, if you're reading the second reading on two ordinances, you don't need me for that.
Scott was doing great while you were out. He was moving right along.
All 30 seconds.
We took public works, right? Oh, there it is.
So we're moving forward with the December meeting? Is that?
Oh, I didn't go past it, I'm sorry.
This, I mean, you can contact us and have
Yeah, because Mary, you're
Send
gonna be
us
out,
an
so
email.
why don't you and I get together?
proposed
And
dates
then
and
we
see if everybody can
submit
make
some
it.
dates for folks to see them.
Okay.
Because the mayor can't cancel the meeting if necessary, or reschedule a meeting without a vote.
And it might be, well, I know it's not with the things on the 14th and whatever. It doesn't have to be a Thursday. I mean, we could maybe do it
I'm
earlier,
just gonna say the years.
like, would be like the 16th or something like that.
There you go.
So it might be more productive than trying to squeeze it right out of Thanksgiving. Okay.
I've only got one thing. We've got about almost 1,000 meters in, we're about 500 or less. So we should hit our target deadline. They're hoping by the December 15th billing, but it may be a little after. And we don't know, I guess, Aaron, how we're gonna do the billing yet, but we're getting there. It may be a really messed up billing, and it may be later, I don't know, but they're putting in meters every day, and we're getting it in. So we'll get our revenue back. Probably in March or so, reading will start getting more, as it goes through, because they'll have full readings then.
And if they went through my neighborhood today.
Yeah, they've been going through. We've had a few incidents, but a couple things breaking here and there, but really been really a smooth as they were going through. It's been good. It hadn't been like I thought it was. It's been really good. They got some good guys out there, and their supervisor running it is really good. Other than that, the Christmas tree's been decorated. KDT donated it this year and did it again, but now I'm afraid that it may not be there. But we have Sarah, so we try to decorate early because we don't have a week between Thanksgiving and the tree lighting like we do some years. So we're scrounging to get everything, we got it up, but if we have a storm, we may not have anything because it's all up. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Well, we might have decorations in more places.
They may be more than what you do, but we're decorated, we're almost done. We're gonna save City Hall till the last minute.
We all may have decorations.
But I'm afraid the tree is getting beat by the wind already, so I don't know. We're gonna try to keep it in shape, but
We'll just get some skis.
we're gonna get you some kind of lighting, but I'm just telling you, if we have another storm, I don't know what you're gonna get.
Chief,
We'll all meet with our flashlights.
Well, you remember them old lights that they used to have that had the 4 different colors? Well, put one of those out there.
I might set them on there.
Still a Christmas.
All
All right, I'll make a deal with you guys. If I make it short, will you guys make it short?
Yes.
All right, I just have one thing. The turkey shoot has been rescheduled. It was supposed to be this weekend, but the range is flooded still and it's in poor condition. So the tentative dates for the next one are the 13th and 14th. I realize the 14th is the same day as the parade, but the turkey shoot's at night and it won't interfere. So, and those are really the only dates that I have left this year to do the turkey shoot. So, and that's pending conditions of the rain.
Can you get people guns in the dark out there in the field?
I just won't be there, but yeah, we'll do it. Absolutely. And our National Night Out event went great. A lot of people showed up, so the same feed them, and they will come.
Anything for?
I did have a list, but there's nobody here, so I'm just going to hold off until next meeting to give recognition to some of the people who donated. Actually, everybody who donated, and a lot of the volunteers who made the event what it was. So I'll do that next commission. That's all I have.
Thank you.
All right, let's stick to the deal.
Unfortunately, I have a few items, so I'm gonna do my very best to. Brevity is usually my thing. Okay, the first thing is that we received an email about the Volusia County building moratorium. Next week, Tuesday at 4 p.m., I would like to be in attendance to see what all is happening, and I don't know if anybody else wants to attend. If you all do, it would need to be noticed, I believe so.
Just
Yeah.
it doesn't need it. Just
Yes, understood. Okay, Zone 1 is holding a town hall that everyone is invited to. Please join us on 11/21, unless we have to reschedule due to weather. It is going to be from 7 to 8 p.m. and it is conversation style. Come out and have some coffee and refreshments and talk with us about city updates and concerns you may have. If you have any topics you'd like a specific update on ahead of time, please submit it and we will make sure we have the information available. Otherwise, we'll do our very best that night or get back to you. We're also having Light Up Lake Helen on December 2nd from 6 to 9 p.m. I want to thank the Butler's Fresh Choo Choo crew. It is going to be at the Equestrian Center as it was last year. The event was a smashing success last year, bringing in over $3,000 and then the city matching it. And all proceeds from this benefit the city for holiday decorations. You will see one of those decorations on display this year. It is a lit up train display. Arbor Day is going to be January 18th from 8 to 10 a.m. It will be held out on the paver area of the Creative Arts Cafe. And this is our third year. We're going to be giving away native trees. The goal is fruiting trees this year, but it depends on what the nursery has available. So we will have a list for you in December. Lastly, I wasn't super satisfied with the how we found out about Water and Current addressing the emergent need of the residents that are still flooded and the streets that are still flooded from Milton. So therefore, I would like to propose that we find time for a workshop to address the immediate need of the flooding. I have many ideas, and I think it would benefit all of us and to have the community just designate some time to discuss this, bring their ideas. Let's see what we can do. Let's get this done. I'm sorry for hearing and seeing my neighbors in peril. Thank you.
On mine, you heard Joey talk, I've talked with Debbie Hanow, I've talked with Aaron, and I've talked with a few other people. We have issues with our ordinances. Now, I've been a commissioner now for 4 years, I've got 2 more years to go. We've called for a number of workshops in the past 4 years, and we've only had maybe 50% of them, and there was a lot of kicking the can down the road during those workshops. We've got a lot of issues in Lake Ellen, and we keep on calling for workshops, and we don't do them. We need to have workshops and workshops and workshops, because we've got a lot of issues we need to get taken care of and addressed. So I'm hoping that we can handle it. You heard Joey talking about how some of the ordinances are contradictory and interpretive and everything else. I heard the same thing from the Historic Preservation Board. I heard the same thing from Debbie Howe. I heard, I think Aaron's was more in programs. We need better programs than what we got to run some of the stuff, and Debbie said the same thing. But we also need to set priorities on each one of the subjects so that we can get them done and completed. So if we can have more workshops, I would be happy. I would set aside time and everything else for workshops to get this stuff addressed and handled for the problems that we've got in the city. So that's all I've got. Let's get some workshops. Veterans Day. Ivy Hung was going to provide the orchestra, I believe. Their director ended up having a medical issue, and they couldn't find a replacement to bring him over. So I contacted Joey, and I got to thank Joey. He brought in his speaker system. He brought in some music to provide over the system, which ended up helping out quite a bit with providing an atmosphere for the veterans and stuff. And Fox 35, I didn't get a chance to contact him yet, but Fox 35 was doing I think he was doing a report over in Blake Park, and he's seen us setting up, and he came over and did a report on our event. So Fox 35 News has our event on their website, I believe. I thank everybody that helped make it possible for us to have the thing. Scott donated to it. Collins Poles, Dennis Squire from DTS Tree, they all helped to make it possible for us to have that event and quite a few other events that we got going on. So I thank everybody, and the veterans thank everybody for what they did.
You need his number.
No, I got his card.
I just got to send an email.
Okay.
Zone 3 currently is working on Transform 386, which I mentioned earlier. Any resident who had any damages from Ian can certainly go out online and Google up Transform 386. You can actually fill out an application online, and then there's also phone numbers there if you need some support in filling out the applications. However, I am taking it one step further. I've made arrangements with Ms. Butler, and she's going to bring her team into Lake Ellen, and I hope to probably have it set up here at Hopkins Hall for residents to come in and collect that money, because any damages that you occurred back when Ian occurred is compromised now by Milton. The only other thing that I want to talk about, it's not really a housekeeping problem, but it, to me, is an out of control problem. Mayor, every meeting, you read a portion of this. Could you please read this portion here about persons when they're addressing the dais?
Persons desiring to address the commission must fill out and provide the mayor with a yellow request to speak form located by the door. After being recognized by the mayor, persons are asked to come forward and speak to the podium, state their name, address, and direct all remarks to the commission and the body, and not to individual members of the commission, staff, or audience. Citizens citizens' comments during public comments, and each section of the agenda where public comments is allowed are as limit to discussion to 3 minutes. Large groups are asked to name a spokesperson, the period of time for comments and not for questions directed to the commission or staff or for immediate answers. Questions directed to the city commission will be referred to staff and should be answered by staff within a reasonable period of time following the date of the meeting. Order and decorum will be preserved at all meetings. Personal, impertinent, or slanderous remarks are not permitted. Thank you for participating in your city government.
Okay, thank you. In our last meeting, and I now have one and only 1 year ago, so I'm feeling a little feisty right now. Our last meeting was completely out of control. We had a resident appear at the podium during, I believe it was the zoning commissioner's time to speak, and directly spoke to Commissioner Eckert and was very nasty, as he was calling him vice mayor, and that he should know better. And he was really dressing Roger down. I thought it was uncalled for, and I hope that in the future, that the mayor, if you pick up on it, that you will stop that from happening, because, I heard the remark tonight that this one person is a stickler for rules and regulations. Well, this is a rule, this is a red, you're the mayor, you read it to everybody. So I believe that they should follow what you read to them in the standards of our meeting. And for me, that's all I'm going to talk about. Thank you.
My turn. I'm too tired. I'd like to make a recommendation, request, whatever you want to call it. I would like to have all of us think about after the first of the year, because we can't do it during the holidays because of Christmas ball and all of that. But I would really like for us to stop renting out this building, because we don't make that kind of money on it anyways. Turn it into our permanent dais, get some decent chairs up here, a little bit more space, and the only way we're going to be able to do that is to make it to where Public Works doesn't have to constantly be tearing it down and putting everything away, because especially if we get decent chairs, that's going to be a pain in the butt to take those down every time. Because I don't know about the rest of y'all, but this is killing my back sitting in these chairs. And it's just tight up here, and it's actually, if we have to be brought down off of the dais and into this environment, we need to make it as comfortable as we can, I think. We've been here almost 2 years, pretty much 2 years, and I don't see us going anywhere anytime soon. So, I mean, there's going to be times when, like for the Christmas balls and stuff like that, yes, I understand, we need to use it for that, but it's just a thought.
I'll speak only to the, what we actually read. Order and decorum will be preserved at all meetings. Personal, impertinent, or slanderous remarks are not permitted. I think that statement bodes well with this commission, this board as well, because the people in the audience see us either attacking one another or even another citizen. It does not do well for decorum. We have a responsibility and an obligation as a commission to set an example. That is what we're supposed to be here for. Our people want us to bring results, not slanderous, impertinent, personal attacks on one another. In terms of the way the meeting goes, sometimes I have to use discretion as to when someone should be able to just carry on another statement. They might need to take another 2 minutes, it might need to take 3-4 minutes. I don't want to just shut somebody up, because that becomes even more antagonizing. So you have to rely on this and trust that I do have a certain amount of decorum after sitting on this board as long as I have. And this is something in the years that I have been sitting on the commission, I've never seen this before. So this is new. So I handle it, trust me, but it is new. So we all have a way that we have to communicate with one another. We want respect, we want